T5. A lot going on in LA sports now. We're still in the dog days of summer, but things are starting to pick up just a little bit, and headlines are starting to pick up. I wanted to begin today's podcast talking about the big news that came out of this week, talking about the scandal that is going on with the LA Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, and Steve Ballmer. After that, we're going to preview Rams versus Texans, Week 1 NFL. Guys, Week 1 is here already. We just had the Cowboys and Eagles play last night with an Eagles win. We're in Week 1, so we're going to preview that after we talk about the Clippers scandal. So let's get into it. So like I mentioned, the big headline coming from this week was journalist Pablo Torre doing an investigation on the company called Aspire. Aspire is basically a company that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer invested into. I believe he may have invested maybe somewhere about 3% of Aspiration's total combined funding. So basically, Aspiration was going to be a sponsorship for the LA Clippers. The NBA has sponsors on their jerseys. They have sponsors on the floor. They're going to be a sponsor where the Clippers were going to be able to gain money off of it. It is reported that Aspiration was going to pay nearly about $300 million for a sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. So through Pablo Torre's investigation and from his publication on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, he asserts that Leonard secured about $28 million in an endorsement deal through KL2 Aspire LLC, the counterparty to Aspiration, a now bankrupt Echo financial startup, partially funded by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, whom invested about $50 million in the investment in 2021. So basically, Aspiration is an eco-friendly company that would plant seeds over the country, and they would try to make a difference in the world. They had other celebrity endorsements like Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert Downey Jr., Drake, among other celebrities that would endorse this company. They would pay them, and they would endorse them through commercials or voiceover work or whatever it may be, maybe in social media as well, posting about it. Now, these other celebrities were probably only getting paid about $2 million, $3 million, $5 million through this endorsement deal with Aspiration. But through findings of Pablo Torre, they found out that one celebrity that was getting paid through Aspiration as an endorsement deal was Clippers superstar Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was set to earn about $28 million in an endorsement deal through this company alone. Now, with that alone, it's raising up red flags all over because of who is at ownership or has an ownership stake in this company. It's Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. Also through these findings was that Kawhi Leonard was essentially paid $28 million, or maybe close to $28 million, to essentially do nothing. Kawhi Leonard has done absolutely nothing to endorse this company. Not through social media, not through commercials, not through appearances, nothing. He has done absolutely nothing to get paid from this company. And he has gotten paid. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is a very soft-spoken person. He doesn't really do media press conferences a whole lot. He's not on social media, not that I believe. He's not an outward person like most celebrity superstars are. They love the fame. They love the spotlight. Kawhi Leonard is not that type of guy. I mean, they call him, what do they call him? Like a Robo guy or a RoboCop, whatever they want to call him, because he is literally a guy that just keeps to himself. He is a guy that has a very tight-knit circle and doesn't really range out of that. Now, in that tight-knit circle is Kawhi's uncle, Dennis Robertson, who has been at the center of controversy for years. The NBA has flagged him for conduct that pushed and sometimes crossed the limits of the leagues. So, for example, when Kawhi was a free agent in 2019, reports surfaced that Uncle Dennis made extravagant requests during meetings with teams. Some reports said that his uncle requested a house, cars, private planes for Kawhi, and guaranteed sponsorship money. Things that were going to be under the table so Kawhi can benefit from it. The NBA reportedly investigated whether these demands amounted to improper benefits or salary cap circumvention. Nothing was proven, but the league issued warnings to multiple teams. I believe during the summer they had like a summer meetings, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said it was basically going to be the cardinal sin for any NBA teams to go through with such requests from family members. Aside from that, there were whispers that Uncle Dennis wanted teams to arrange outside business deals for Kawhi, similar to what's now being alleged with Aspiration. The Raptors, the Lakers reportedly bristled at the request, and some executives quietly complained to the league office that Robertson was testing the limits of free agency negotiations. And while Kawhi Leonard does have an agent, a lot of people in league circles firmly believe that Uncle Dennis is the one making decisions for Kawhi Leonard's career, and Leonard gives him a lot of autonomy to push for negotiations in such terms. And the reason why we bring all this up is because it's probably the doing of Uncle Robert that probably set the negotiations for Aspiration and probably pushed for them to create this company for... Well, it wasn't created for Kawhi Leonard, but for this company to push for Kawhi Leonard to be a sponsored athlete, and in return, Kawhi Leonard can get paid under the table by the Clippers. So when I first heard the story of this investigation, I thought they were referencing to 2019 when Kawhi was a free agent, but this company wasn't even started in 2019. This company was started in 2021. Around the same time, Kawhi Leonard was becoming a free agent again in 2022. Oh, and quickly going back to Uncle Dennis, as we know, it was Uncle Dennis pushing for the Clippers to trade for Paul George to give up tons of assets, including Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning defending NBA Finals MVP, the reigning defending league MVP this current year. The Clippers had him. They had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so in 2019, when Kawhi was a free agent, I believe it was Uncle Dennis that pushed for the Clippers to trade all those assets, all those draft picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder to get Paul George. Otherwise, Kawhi Leonard was going to join the Lakers. He was going to join LeBron. He was going to join Anthony Davis. And he was dead set on joining the Lakers. But they felt like, the Clippers, being them, they felt like they had to go all in to get Kawhi Leonard. And going all in meant trading those assets to get Paul George. Now, look, it didn't work out for them in that retrospect, but I can understand why they would do it. If Kawhi Leonard joined the Lakers, not just the Clippers or the Western Conference, but the entire league would have been ran for years and years and years by the Lakers. Now, me as a Lakers fan, I would have loved to have seen it, but the Clippers, being them, they had to do what they had to do in order to compete. Now, going back to this investigation, it was also reported through Pablo Torre's investigation that in March 2025, Aspiration filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Co-founder Joe Sandberg was arrested and later pled guilty to wire fraud involving investor losses over $145 million, ultimately totaling in a sum of $248 million. Holy cow. So not only did the business go belly up, but the main co-founder, pled guilty to wire fraud and all of these horrific things. Now, with all of this being public information, this is what led Pablo Torre being tipped off about Kawhi Leonard being a small fraction of this, obviously not involved in any of the wire fraud or anything like that, but Kawhi Leonard being paid under the table by this company that was going belly up. Now, since then, Steve Ballmer and the Clippers have each released statements, and Steve Ballmer was actually interviewed by ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, stating his innocence in everything of this matter. He claims that although he did have a small ownership stake in this company, that he was not a controlling member of the company. He had no jurisdiction or controlling matter in which way the company was going to go, and he did not run the show for this company. He claims that the people that were running the show for this company bamboozled him and basically robbed him of his money. He also claims that any deals that Kawhi Leonard made with the Los Angeles Clippers was done previous to any deals that Kawhi Leonard made with Aspiration. Now look, these are serious allegations that the Clippers and Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard are going to go through right now. This is not ideal timing with the NBA season looming next month. The Clippers have revamped their roster, although they are a lot older, and they made themselves a lot older through free agency. The Clippers revamped their roster in order for themselves to compete in the Western Conference. This is not great timing whatsoever. And look, the NBA is going to go through with a thorough investigation in which could be laid with heavy sanctions if the Clippers are found guilty in any matter. Now, this thing is not going to be solved overnight. It could take a matter of months for the NBA to conduct their investigation and wrap up any evidence that they have that could be levied against the LA Clippers. Ramifications could be subjected up to a fine up to $4.5 million, the loss of first round draft picks, which draft picks are so coveted in the NBA nowadays. It's coveted more than any time in NBA history. You have draft picks, you can, obviously, like, teams are calling you up to trade for them. You obviously, draft assets are tremendous value in this league now. And also, too, Kawhi Leonard's contract could be voided altogether. There was a scandal in the year 2000 that the Minnesota Timberwolves conducted, in which they secretly promised former forward Joe Smith a future mega deal to skirt the cap. And then when the NBA did their investigation, they included hefty fines, draft pick forfeitures, they voided contracts, and suspensions for team officials. Now look, although these are heavy sanctions that are against the LA Clippers right now, if the NBA conducts their investigation, this could lead into other investigations into other NBA teams, and basically it opens up a hornet's nest to what other NBA teams have been doing under the table. Trust me, the LA Clippers are not the only team to be doing these type of actions. I would assume not every NBA team, including the Lakers, but a lot of teams, I guarantee you, will have a hornet's nest of things that they have done, and sanctions could be levied against them just as harsh or maybe even harsher. Now, in my opinion, if the LA Clippers did circumvent the salary cap by paying Kawhi Leonard under the table, then the NBA needs to really, really come down on the Clippers as harsh as possibly they can, because this will set the precedent for any other NBA teams thinking twice about that. Now, it's quite possible that the NBA does their investigation and they find no conclusive evidence that the Clippers were at hand in paying Kawhi Leonard under the table. It's quite possible that they find nothing to it. But if they do, if in fact the LA Clippers and Steve Ballmer were in fact paying Kawhi Leonard under the table, then the Clippers should be fined heavily for this, and sanctions should be levied. Earlier